With today's painting, I am actually doing a bit of a study for a much larger painting that I want to do of this photo. So basically, I do these studies so I can test out if the composition is going to translate well to a larger canvas or panel, and it just kind of yeah, I make my judgments based on how the little study turns out. So I usually start, especially with these small ones, by mixing a bunch of colors. And I didn't even scrape my full palette, mostly because I didn't want to spend the time doing that. Every once in a while, though, you have to like give it a good scrape down, get all of the crapola off of it. Um, Once I mix all the paint and kind of get my colors, like, yeah, I might mix some along the way, but I'm kind of just getting the base ones down with this. So the photo I'm going to be painting, I actually took while on my first overnight backpacking hike, I guess. I think it was the fall of 2020 that we went, and this is around Jasper area. So yeah, it was fall. Like there wasn't crazy fantastic photos, and it wasn't quite larch season, which everyone just goes nuts over here. But I did get some good photos, and what I'm really excited for is I want to. So with this, I'm testing out the layout and the composition and kind of each of those elements, with the sky. Is it interesting enough? And is there room to make it interesting enough? The same thing will kind of go with the mountains and the trees as I experiment with some different ways to treat them. And I think like the composition of the piece gives really good depth, but you'll see as I kind of play with that, it really is about composition with these small paintings because ultimately with the big one, and I have started it now, it's on a giant, oh gosh, it's 4 feet by 5 feet. It's a big wood panel, and I'm not playing with composition like I've, done these studies to figure it out, but I am playing with some different textures and different ways of applying the paint and kind of letting it be a bit more painterly. I think a really cool way this will show through is in the water. So basically, in this scene, and you'll see, later on in this scene, the sky and the mountains and the trees that are on the mountains, that sort of thing, they reflect into the water. And it's kind of hard to like have a fun reflection with this tiny of painting because this painting is like 3 inches by 4 inches. But with the big one, there's a lot more room to play with some interesting movement of the paint and the pigment, and how it kind of lays on the wood panel when it's put on and washes, and creating a sort of like reflective, layered element. Because in the original photo, well, you won't be able to see it because I don't really paint it into it. But in the original photo, there's both the reflection on the water and then there's the things that are underneath the water, like logs and even a bit of a dock that is kind of sinking into it. And it's got these really rich blues and purples. So I'm going to be playing with that in this big painting, to try and, yeah, like have fun with it, I guess. Yeah, so you can see here in the left side, basically, okay, I remember when I filmed this, my phone was like, you have no more room to film, over and over and over again. And so finally, like I emptied a bunch of stuff off, but I can't just like sit here and not paint. So I'll do one and play through it, and then I'll do the other one, and kind of riff off of what I was doing with the other one and make some slight changes along the way. I think often people will question, like, why would I do two of these at once? But it just allows me, especially on this scale, to play around with treating the things different ways. Like the mountains look different, the trees on the mountains look different, and you'll see even these trees that are happening on the side ish, middle side of the piece, I kind of apply differently in both of them. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the big one being more playful. And actually, when we went on this hike and I took these photos, as we were driving there, was when I found out my grandma had passed away. And it wasn't like unexpected, I guess, but it was just something that then occupied my mind for the entirety of this hike. And thinking about that, not just the memories, but also, I don't know, things like our own mortality and what do I want to do with my life. And not that I don't want to paint, but I mean, what kind of painting legacy am I going to leave? And I'm happy that this big painting I'm working on is going to be a bit more experimental and leaning more into the ways that I do want to paint and I do want to share my art. So here is the final two pieces, and they are in my shop.